There we go.
Greg.
We always start the podcast like this. If one person says, "Hey, Craig," or like, "Who's this Craig?"
It's called an introduction.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Anonymous Gamers. I'm your host, AvatarAidan, and here are my guests, KibbsMcGibbs, and our new guest, Knackster.
Hello.
Hello.
We didn't invite. Why did I say invite? We didn't bring Protector on board because he didn't play Tears of the Kingdom. So yeah, we gotta talk about that Tears of the Kingdom game, shall we?
I mean, if we have to.
I mean, next time we could just talk about Trolls in the Sky since I did beat it.
Alright, let's get this out of the way first. Everyone's gonna hate me.
I think we should focus. I wrote down a schedule of things we should do first.
Okay.
There's just one thing we should do before because I think it's actually essential for talking about this game. What are our thoughts on Breath of the Wild?
Peak gaming. Peak. It's literally my top 10. Like it was an unreal experience in high school playing that on my Wii U.
You played it on the Wii U?
Yes, I was poor.
Oh my god.
BOTW used to be one of my favorites. After playing Tears of the Kingdom, I'm not so sure if I would feel that if I were to revisit it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of memories with Breath of the Wild because
I will say though that first playthrough was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot think of like many games in my life that had me that gripped. Once it finally sunk me, it took like 2-3 play sessions to really like get into the game's groove. But once it got me, that was it.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild was important. No matter what I think of Breath of the Wild, it's still going to be an important game to me because it was the first game I played on like the Switch, and so AvatarAidan lore right here. The Switch was the first console I ever bought with my own money. So I spent that $360 for a Switch and Breath of the Wild, and so I always have that. First playthrough, I thought Breath of the Wild was like 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Like, sure, I had some problems with it. Like, I thought the dungeons were kind of boring, but that was it. It was kind of like a minor thing because I don't think the dungeons were like that grand in Breath of the Wild as opposed to the open world, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I will agree. I will say that on a second playthrough, Breath of the Wild gets lower in quality. Not lower in quality, but lower in what's the way to describe it?
The way I would codify it is that a lot of the magic of Breath of the Wild is in the discovery.
Yeah.
And once you've kind of figured out like what the game is doing and kind of what you can start to expect from everything, that discovery starts to fade away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
I can never revisit Breath of the Wild.
I played it 2 times. Unless I make a video on Breath of the Wild, that's all I need in life.
And like personally, I respect people who are willing to call it like an all-time favorite just from that first playthrough. I am someone that likes to revisit fond media, and if it doesn't necessarily hold up on a revisit, that does sort of dock some points for me, but that is my own personal thoughts when it comes to things.
That definitely makes sense. It's like how I used to love Sonic 2, but now I just think of Sonic 2 as like an okay game on like revisits.
I never revisit games. If I revisit a game, you know I really love it.
So let me guess. Then why is then that Persona 4 Golden for you? I guess.
Yeah, I'm probably never gonna play Persona 4 Golden again.
And sadly, Final Fantasy 13. Sadly, Final Fantasy 13.
I love Final Fantasy 13.
I played 4 hours. No.
So peak.
It's not.
Cringe.
It's boring.
Everyone's cringe. I'm the one who's based.
How did BOTW lead to FF13?
Dude, I don't know.
You cannot have 2 games that are fundamentally trying to do something so different than Final Fantasy 13 and Breath of the Wild.
I always need to defend my beloved.
All right, well,
What are you about it?
well, if we're plugging things, everyone should read Umineko no Nakukoro ni, but that's neither here nor there.
But okay, so so heading into Tears of the Kingdom, I was looking at it from the perspective of so on my second playthrough, I noticed problems I had with Breath of the Wild. So when I was heading into Tears of the Kingdom, I wanted to know if they would rectify the problems or make the problems less prominent, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think we should go, since we finished our thoughts, I think we should go into our first impressions on Tears of the Kingdom. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. So, what were our first impressions of Tears of the Kingdom? Like the first, I don't want to say hour because that's like 1/5 of the prologue.
The first hour is just talking.
The first, literally, but from the first second to like the first dungeon. I want to say, I don't know.
I don't know. That is actually a great period because that is where my thoughts were most positive.
So what were our first impressions of Tears of the Kingdom then?
For me, it was like actually really hitting a lot of the notes of that first BOTW playthrough of like, wow, we're back. Wow, this feels good. Wow, I kind of missed this style of game. And
yeah.
I was loving it. It was like, obviously we had some reuse, but at the time that hadn't really sunk in yet. That first sky area was really cool. I had some high hopes. Discovering the depths was crazy. They never advertised that at all. Mm-hmm. Even though I ended up learning of its existence like a day or two before the game came out, it was still really neat just to see all that come into play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a very positive first impression when like there was all that dialogue and first playthrough I was captivated. I know if I went back to the game I would hate the intro just on the whole. I was captivated by that when you lose all of your hearts, that moment I was like, oh no, it's so over.
It's so over.
Dude, it was crazy. I was like, oh my goodness, this is the coolest game ever made. And then I got to the Sky Islands, the big tutorial area, and they said, okay, make sure you go here first. That's very important. And I said, no. And I went around the entire Sky Islands without activating the shrines.
No.
So I went all the way around, and it posed some interesting problems because I didn't have certain abilities and I couldn't make my way backwards. I had to figure out how to get back to where I was just supposed to go in the first place. No abilities, and it was a blast. I loved it.
That's so interesting. I'd heard the horror stories of people that went in the wrong order, but you're the first person I've heard that did that said that they loved doing that.
Yeah, no, it was great. My wife was playing the game right next to me on her Switch. And she was like, why are you doing this? What is wrong with you? Very clearly. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to go there.
Honestly, I would have said the same thing if I were in that situation with you.
Yeah, no, like she's right. Honestly, I don't know what I was doing, but I was just captivated by everything. And then discovering the depths shortly after that, I was like, this is the coolest game ever made. And that, I think, is where my opinion of the game peaked, because then I played the rest of it.
We can get so I would but so I'm probably one of the this is probably just a me thing, but I was not all that captivated within the first like few minutes with the bottom of Hyrule Castle, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like that section, I thought it like dragged on a bit too long. And it wasn't until we saw spoiler alert, Gambledork's body. It was that I was captivated, where he stole your hearts and stamina wheels, and he basically killed your arm. But then when we got to the Sky Island, and then your one of the goat people gives you the goat arm, and just says, "Do this." When I got the new abilities on the Sky Island, I was captivated by them, and I instantly thought they were better than the abilities in Breath of the Wild. But and then when I reached the floor, the base floor level of the game, the overworld, I was learning more about what happened. Is like the whole game's a mystery. Like, you started the game with Zelda next to you instead of in Breath of the Wild, where you just woke up from your easy bake oven. You were with Zelda, but now you're trying to figure out where she is. So I think that was a good like plot point to like hook the player to like doing the stuff you that the game wants you to do, if that makes sense.
I mean, not to jump too ahead, I will say, the payoff to find Zelda as a literal quest was pretty good.
Yeah.
We could get to that when we talk about the story.
Yeah,
I have a lot of thoughts on it.
Specifically, I mean, like, receiving it as a quest and how that quest gets cleared.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, so that's our first impression. I'm actually writing this on a fucking notebook.
Quick question for... sorry, just since we're still in the early area, I have one thing I want to ask about.
Yeah.
So, did you guys instantly get the glider, or did you try to walk around a bit before realizing... You sure need that glider.
Oh man, I was complaining the entire time that I didn't have the glider, and my wife was again like, "Caleb, shut up. I know you want the glider." I instantly had to get it as soon as possible.
I didn't really notice it at first, if I'm being honest, because I know this is probably because I'm a fucking gamer diehard. Opening areas aren't gonna allow you to have like all your items instantly, so like I wasn't like that. Plus, it was like not even that big of an area, or like the mountain sides weren't that high, so like I didn't really need the glider
because
either.
I'm not talking about for the Great Sky Islands.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about after you land on the overworld.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I still didn't notice. It wasn't until like Pura, I think that's her name. I just call her.
Did you make a beeline for the glider, or did you try to do anything?
I just did the story.
Okay, so this may not apply to you then.
Okay.
Because I went around at first and was trying to do shrines before I did the story.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, that overworld sure is not designed around you not having the glider.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't know how I feel about them not just making you get it immediately, because on one hand, it's so intrinsic that you're likely to just go on the path and get it, and it's kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, it's really not like a criticism, more of just an observation.
Yeah, I personally felt its absence like immediately, despite the fact that I hadn't like touched Breath of the Wild and literally since it came out.
That was 6 years ago.
I know. I played Breath of the Wild and I beat it in like a month and a half, and I never touched it again. I didn't even do the DLC. Like,
oh, really?
Really?
Yeah. Well, see, I was going to do the DLC like 3 years ago, and then my wife spoiled one of the big moments in the DLC, and I was just like, and now I don't care anymore.
The DLC is actually a lot of fun.
The DLC is actually like has some of the best shrines and some of the best. Well, why did I say best story? It has no story in that game.
I liked the Master Trial a lot.
That was really fun. Yeah,
Just
the reward was worth
Island,
it.
basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think we could go into our thoughts on the open world, because that seems to be like a big. Well, I guess all sections of the open world are like a big criticism to people who played the game. But like the criticism I see with the open world in this game is how like it feels smaller, which is something I've been saying ever since I got to exploring it after I was given my quest to like go to the other regions, if that makes sense. Or is it just the fact that like because thinking about it recently, it's like it's the same overworld as in Breath of the Wild with minimal changes. So I'm thinking it's either the overworld's too small, that could be one thing, or it's just that we know so much about this world from that one playthrough or the playthroughs we've done that like we kind of don't feel it anymore.
This might just be like I'm looking back on a game I played 6 years ago that I absolutely love. but I felt like Breath of the Wild was more densely packed with everything that it had in. So Tears of the Kingdom, wandering around, I was just like, it was either I've seen this, there's nothing new here, or it was just empty.
I kind of got that feeling as well. I will agree with you on that. Yeah.
I think it comes down to a couple things. So there is the fact that we're revisiting the same world, and despite the new abilities, interacting with it pretty similar ways. The other thing I think is that the reward cycle is kind of fundamentally the same. And that's sort of earlier I alluded to when I was talking about Breath of the Wild, the moment the magic wears off. And for me, that is kind of when you become more acutely aware of what the game's reward cycle is, right? Mm-hmm. You're either going to get weapons that, those are transient by nature, they break, so they're cool in the moment, they're not really lasting. You'll get your shrine upgrades, which are neat, but not particularly exciting because you know what you're going to get. You'll get rupees, which is fine. The coolest rewards you can probably get in any situation is armor.
That is true. I felt a lack of armor in the overworld, honestly. Or maybe it's just I didn't explore enough.
A lot of it was relegated to caves.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of the caves, honestly.
But yeah, I definitely think, and this is where I guess a lot of my criticisms of Tears of the Kingdom are going to come down to is I didn't find the overworld exploration as captivating this time around, and the reason is simple, that Breath of the Wild already did this.
Yeah. It's like it's like after you finish the Sky Island, you go straight to the overworld, and then they say go do the story now or explore to your heart's content. But like aside from like a new few things they added thanks to the abilities, which we'll get to later, because I promise them. It's just like it feels like you're repeating. You're following. It feels like it's trying to follow in the steps of Breath of the Wild somewhat, but it's not working because we already been in those steps.
So for the way I would put it is, Breath of the Wild to me had that intrinsic motivation of I want to see everything. I want to go everywhere. I want to know what this world is about. And Tears of the Kingdom loses that because you've already explored most of the world, and sure, there's that intrinsic motivation of I want to see what this is like now. I want to see what this is like now. But after a while, you realize it's not really that different. So then that shifts to okay, what about the depths? What do the depths have? And in my experience, nothing. And so, you're looking around the Sky Islands, and you're like, oh, this is neat. And then you go somewhere else, and you're like, I've seen this before. And you go somewhere else, and you're like, okay. This is the same as those other two islands. And you go and you're like, oh my goodness, they copy pasted everything. So it relies a lot on like the extrinsic motivation of like, what do you get for going to these places? And to me, I just didn't care. I didn't need anything. Like in terms of rewards in game. I wanted to feel rewarded inherently just by exploring, and I think Tears of the Kingdom cannot do that.
The only times I felt rewarded for exploring, sadly enough, is the fucking skyscrapers.
Oh, like the big cubes?
The big cubes? No, not those.
The towers?
Yeah, the towers. Yeah,
I forgot those.
Some of them. So like, I like.
Yeah.
Some of them, I think they were better than the Ubisoft sponsored towers from Breath of the Wild. Because like the puzzle with the towers is just like, how do you get to the tower? I'm just like, but in these ones, like some of them are like, how do you get in the tower? Like,
yeah,
there's like one of the ones that like come into my mind is that like at one of the towers, it's like, oh, it's locked from the outside, and you have to find a cave nearby and then use ascend to get into the tower. Like, I like that. That's the kind of stuff I like to see. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, I think it's just the obstacle that you could just solve with like a fucking what are they called in Breath of the Wild? Champion ability, like Rivali's Gale.
Yeah. I did all the towers before I got Rivali's Gale.
but you get.
I can agree there, though. I do think the variety for getting into the towers was better here in Botwa. They were all climbing challenges, and while they did remix them, I would say the ones in Tears of the Kingdom were more memorable. Also, I just really like the cutscene where Link shoots out of the tower. I think that's fun.
It's pretty funny.
As funny as that is, as much as I think the towers are better in how you get to them, I didn't like having to constantly I want to see what's around me. Okay, shoot yourself 2 billion feet in the air and then look around. I would much rather stand on top of a tower and just kind of take in everything, because there's a lot less focus going on when you're just looking around, and I kind of like that almost serenity to it. Meanwhile, in Tears of the Kingdom, it is you are falling from the sky, look for what you're find what you're looking for, go there. And I wasn't big on that.
I think the real question is, do you prefer the iPhone from Breath of the Wild or the Switch from Tears of the Kingdom?
Come on, this is Wii U erasure. It's a Wii U gamepad.
Sorry, but the problem with that is that the Wii U gamepad shouldn't have worked 5 billion feet in the air because of the terrible connection.
I mean, I'll say I prefer the Taka Switch just because I'm bitter that Botwa Wii U could have had gamepad stuff on it and they stripped it out for the Switch version.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because I might have actually considered getting the Wii U version if you could have used it as a map and stuff.
I got the Wii U version because I didn't have a choice. One of my friends was like, "You still haven't played Breath of the Wild? It's been out for a week." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't have money." And he's like, "Here's $60, buy it." And I'm like, "Oh."
I was gonna buy the Wii U version, but then this little game called Purse Owner 5 was coming out in 2 months, and I just got a PS4. So
you got a better game, TV. Yeah, sure, Aiden, sure.
No, I agree. I just was hesitant a little bit.
A little bit.
I don't know which of the two I prefer, but that's neither here nor there.
I do like the one thing I will say is I do like the changes to so in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, your objective is to go to these regions to meet with the race of people, right?
Yeah.
What I like about that, one of the few positives I have in open world in Tears of the Kingdom was that you saw the changes. You see, oh, they're trying to make improvements, or I just like to see how different it is compared to Breath of the Wild, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You see, what's his name? He's the Goron from
Yunobo.
Yeah, Yunobo. You see him he's now taking head of the village or stuff like that. Dorito are still the Dorito were the most uninteresting of all of them.
True, I love Dorito, but man.
You have that whiny ass kid.
True.
Hey, Tulin was fine.
We'll get to that when we talk about dungeons and the story. But I just like seeing even after you do the stuff, it's I like seeing how the world is still building or progressing in time, if that makes sense. It's something I didn't feel with Breath of the Wild.
No, it's definitely that is one area where I will say it being a direct sequel was advantageous for it. It is cute to fantasy everyone. I was happy that we actually got to see adult Kira instead of the weird kid creature.
Hey, you can thank you, DeviantArt, for ruining her for me.
Ooh.
Yeah. Also, we get more pretty boy Sidon, so that's a plus.
Alright, so Sidon's new print strip was pretty smart.
Oh, it's so drip. It's so drip.
You know what though? I do feel bad for all the people out there who wanted Sidon to either be Link's husband or their husband. My heart goes out to you.
That would be not okay in this current day and age, or any age. So a goat did fuck a woman in the story, so what do I know? But anyway, we'll get to that later. The Sky Islands. I think they wanted to advertise the Sky Islands the most in this game. I mean, with this game.
Mm-hmm.
It was in all the promotional material. The Sky Islands are going to be the next big thing.
Look, it's new. We promise.
It's new. We promise. Yeah. Copy paste. It's copy paste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like you have, I from what I've experienced, I didn't explore all of them. There's like 2 outliers, excluding the dungeons. There's the main, the tutorial area, and then there's that one big island that was like one big civilization that is where you go to find the fifth spirit.
Yeah.
Person, yeah. Aside from that, it's like, oh, here's an island to transport this crystal over there to get the shrine. You got this one where it's like inside of a giant Rubik's Cube.
Oh, look, yeah, there's a big enemy you can fight here. It's definitely not like the other one, or the other one, or the other one, or the other one.
There's also like those ones that's like a spiral, and then like you have to skydive off of them to get in these rings to get the shrine. Like there's like 4 of them, I think, overall.
There was exploring the Sky Islands was just disappointing on the whole, because I wanted more of like that first introduction area. I was hoping for, and it was what I was expecting. I'll be straight up. And we got one other, and then I saw like a big there's like a Sky Island that's a bunch of like big circles, and I was like, dang, that looks interesting. What is it? It's a glorified shrine. You jump somewhere, it shoots you up in the air, then you fly forward to the next one, and it shoots you up in the air, and you do that 5 times until you go in the middle, and there's a shrine. And it's like, okay, that was lame.
Yeah. I mean, that is actually something I think that's kind of interesting to talk about. Is well, are we really talking about shrines right now? I don't know.
I wanted to save shrines for later because I consider them like their own thing.
Okay, then I'll save what I want to talk about there.
Yeah, I alluded earlier that they just copy pasted all the islands. And
They literally did.
There's
some islands that are just nothing as well that just take up space.
They were just super big missed potential.
A lot of what y'all have to say about the sky is kind of nuance too. It just should have been the other major overworld.
I
kind of felt like it was.
I stopped exploring them after a while. I was like, this isn't worth it.
I was gonna go after all the shrines like you tried to do, Knack, but after like doing like I think half of the Sky Island shrines, because I gave up and looked them up on fucking online because I don't give a shit anymore because I already did the story. But I just get. What makes the Sky Island so disappointing is like I said, they hyped it up in the trailers. But like, there's no, aside from like the 2 big islands and the 2 dungeons, it's nothing.
Now, I will say for the sky, I guess to try to be a bit more positive, because I don't want to just dunk on this game. There is one aspect that is unfortunately, I don't think an aspect of the game that any of us got as much out of as the game put into it, but I do think would have made the sky maybe more enjoyable, and that goes into the engineering system. Given how much I believe the sky was designed around like, hey, this is your opportunity to do some engineering and find your own way around and get to it, because that is a lot of kind of Tears of the Kingdom's philosophy. I've noticed is like a lot of the puzzles are just reaching something, which makes sense given how much emphasis this game puts on the engineering.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just kind of wish that like the Sky Islands played a more significant role in the story, aside from like 2 dungeons and that one area.
That was genuinely surprising to me, like how little the sky felt like.
Especially like in the flash
story.
They were just like, oh dang, what are those islands? That's crazy, bro. Alright, anyway, Link, go save the day.
Anyway, Link, go search for Pretty Girl Zelda. But it's like, there's so much like potential, because I think the sky aesthetic in any piece of media is like the most visually interesting and like probably the most interesting to look at in like an historical sense, like Castle in the Sky. I don't know if y'all watch Ghibli movies. Or seen that one specifically.
I own it. I haven't watched it though.
But like,
it's a good movie.
But like, there's so many like interesting themes with like the sky, like sky pirates, like this old civilization that lived up there. Like,
I love that.
It's also kind of like Avatar, kind of, where like you learn like the air nomads like lived in the mountains or like this kind of stuff because it was beneficial for air nomads and was on a defensive side, protect them against the other nations. Like
I will
It's
say
interesting to learn this stuff.
I love that the sky went for the fall aesthetic. I think given how used to like just in games, like you've got like your default like green grass areas, having it like kind of like a perpetual fall up there did a lot, I think, to visually distinguish it at least.
Yeah, that makes sense. I will agree.
That is one thing I will at least give it is like it is very clear. Like if you look at a screenshot of the game, which overworld you're on, which I think is good.
I think realistically, that Link should have had like motion sickness just being on the island, or like should have had like a barf bag with him of how high in the sky he is.
No, he's a hero.
Then why is he not freezing up there? It's like 5,000 feet, I think.
Because that would be very inconvenient on the player.
The power of video games. So yeah, Sky Island's kind of a disappointment. Add that to the Kibbs list for disappointments.
Kind of a disappointment.
Yo, you want to talk about a real disappointment? Let's talk about our favorite part. The depths.
Oh yeah, I knew it.
Yeah. They suck.
Depths is really cool when you go there the first time because you're like, whoa.
The aesthetic is really cool.
And then it's like, okay, what can you do? Well, you can farm for funny rocks. You can look for a big statue. There are a couple mines that are relatively interesting, actually. I'll give them that. And then you can refight dungeon bosses.
I remember. I don't know if y'all have seen the video, but like, have you seen the Scott the Woz video on Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah, I think he put a lot of my thoughts.
I remember I was talking to a friend about that video, and he was like, "You were echoing these thoughts before you made the video." I'm like, "I know. It's kind of sad that people catch me talking about these points. I'll be caught for plagiarism or something." When like I've been telling you two about like almost those exact same points, literally throughout the time I was playing the game.
Yeah.
But like I will say, the one thing he did say that I didn't notice until like I played it a bit recently because I was kind of bored, and like I didn't want to play God of War Ragnarok that day.
Mm-hmm.
He was right that like the good weapons are in the depths, but the bad ones are in the overworld.
So that is by design.
I just don't. But if like the depths aren't fun to traverse, it's kind of worthless.
So, I think I have a slightly more positive opinion on the depths. I do still echo a lot of the criticisms that you guys have. I think
the
biggest issue is variety. I will say the one thing I think is interesting about the depths, and where I do appreciate the design of them, is they're not really designed to be their own separate overworld, but rather a complement to the surface and how a lot of what they do down there, the two tie into each other, right? Like you can find the treasure maps, get the old former amiibo armors down there, which is cool. I do like how you can use the depths and the surface to find light runes or like the light roots and the shrines for one another. And I will admit there were a couple times that I went down there and like threw a podcast on, did like a mining session and had an okay time. Where they really falter for me, so I went for every light rune.
I gave up like a third into it. I hated it.
I really think there should have been something a little more substantial than what they gave you for that.
I just hate how dark it is. Like, I complain about like modern video games, like I played Resident Evil 4 Remake, and I complained that the game was like in the sections where like it was intentionally dark, it was a little too dark, like almost pitch black. Tears of the Kingdom's even worse. Like I could barely see shit in the depths.
Yeah,
or that's just.
It was definitely 100% intentional for them to do that, and I get it. And it's one of those things that like I feel it's really cool at first because it demonstrates exactly what you should feel going into the depths, and that is fear. You should feel uncomfortable. They do a really good job of that. It's just once you're comfortable with it, it just becomes an obstacle and nothing more.
Honestly, if there were actual like shrines in the depths, something. I think that could have went.
Depths is just
or
like
just something.
Yeah,
down
something
there.
else besides like the flavorings. Oh, the Yiga clan's down there.
the Yiga clan's down there. The amiibo stuff's
Those
down
were
there.
those were fun to like get
Yeah.
new
I mean-
vehicles, and I did tend to use auto build a lot more than making my own. So I appreciate it.
I didn't get auto build until like hour 30.
Jesus, that took me like 55 hours to beat the game.
I also this also brought forth a funny thing where I always had like 2 billion Zonite. I was never in need of it because I had accrued so much. I never used auto build, and so when I finally got it, I was like, oh, I can spend all of this now. But because I had already.
Did you never upgrade your battery cells?
So no, not really, because I did a bulk upgrade. I had about 1,800 that I just had, and then I was like, oh yeah, I should probably do stuff with this.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say that is one of the few things. Not sorry to interrupt. That
No,
made
you're
the
good.
depths kind of fun for me was seeing number go up with my battery cells.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember seeing videos like people having like these extra. I don't know how the fuck to upgrade your battery cells. I was a one battery man the entire playthrough.
No, I had like I think I had like 4 batteries for like 90% of playtime. Because there are a lot of also like the Zonite charges. I would just go over to the gacha machine and get 50 billion rockets, and then I could go anywhere I wanted.
Those were
Yeah.
very fun.
Yeah.
We could talk about them and get to the Ultra Hand and like other abilities, but one thing I really didn't like about the depths was like. It's probably just a me thing, but I just didn't like how it's kind of like the Sky Islands where like we don't know much about like the world of the depths as well with this. It's like sure we have a few things like the Spirit Temple and aside the Fire Dungeon technically I guess, and also like those ruins, but like we don't know much about the ruins down there.
You just reminded me of the Spirit Temple. This is the
We'll get to that piece of shit. We'll get to that piece of shit. Don't
man.
worry.
Oh.
The
But
boss.
no, I don't like the fucking goo thing. I like it in certain sections. I just don't like it as like an obstacle in the overworld personally.
Oh, what, like the gloom?
Yeah, the gloom.
I appreciate the gloom in the sense that it does partially address one of my biggest criticisms with BOTW.
Botwa? That's what you
with-
call it?
Yes. Is the in BOTW you could make like the stamina potions and just like absolutely cheese anything.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
with
right.
With the gloom giving you the dark hearts, you needed a separate resource to deal with that. You couldn't just stamina potion your way out.
Yeah.
I appreciated that.
Yeah. Something about the depths to be more positive about it. I did like getting into Korok Forest. Via the depths.
That was actually interesting. I will agree with you on that.
Because I remember seeing it and being like, how do I get there? And then I came back like 10 hours later, and then something just clicked, and I was like, oh, I know exactly how to get there. And
I
like,
really-
that was fun.
I really enjoyed the doing the quest line for the Great Temple when you go back to the Great Plateau, and that taking you through the depths.
Wait, there was a side quest. Was it a main quest or a side quest?
It was a side quest.
I was about to say, because I didn't do any of the side quest.
It's the one that takes you to the underground. How you unlock the great what was it, like the great mining facility or something?
Yeah.
I didn't do any of the side quests. I just did the main story shit.
I did most of the side quests, I think.
I did pretty much every side adventure that I got, and I did a decent chunk of the side quests until I hit the end, and I still had like 10 side quests left, and I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically like tired yourself. Okay. If you don't have anything else to say on the devs, we can continue.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got, honestly.
Yeah, we've got as much depth out of this conversation.
Oh my god, shut up, shut mouth, don't shut mouth, don't shut mouth. Okay, that's the depths. Okay, let's talk about the new abilities. So, I'm of the opinion that, Breath of the Wild had a perfect, not a perfect, absolute, best thing ever, set of about abilities, but, they were abilities that can get you through the entire game with no problems whatsoever. Like the bombs, stasis, magnesis, and cryonis. Perfect ability. There's traversal opportunities, puzzles, and it's just bombs. Bombs are good.
It's good.
Bombs are good. But I felt like this was another disappointing thing about Tears of the Kingdom on retrospect. 2 of these abilities are just worthless.
Which 2?
Okay, so let's go in order. Hold on, I'm gonna go in the order of you get them.
And just to be clear, we're just talking about runic abilities, right?
Yeah,
not
with the-
hero.
Yeah, we're talking about Ultra Hand, Fuse,
Uh-huh.
Ascend, and
Okay,
that.
because my thoughts are very different. between
Yeah, my thoughts are very
abilities
different,
and
too.
hero abilities.
I was
Yeah.
like, what 2?
we could talk about those in the next section if you want, because I also have I forgot about that, honestly.
Champion abilities, that's
Yeah. But we're gonna talk about Ultra Hand, Fuse, Ascend, the Rewind one, Auto Build, and that's it.
Okay.
So-
I am actually very curious what you mean by 2 of these are
Yeah.
worthless. Then
Okay, so I'm gonna go in order of
Okay.
the way you get them, if I remember, or the order I have it written down right now. So Ultra Hand. I think the Ultra Hand is a good replacement for Magnesis. I like the idea of Ultra Hand being oh, this is how you since if you don't have auto build, it's oh, this is how you create shit and stick things together. Okay, the frame rate, I just find the fucking moving the pieces not just around, but moving them in. How do I describe it? You know what I'm talking about? When you have to switch the way it's angled.
well,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a bunch
yeah,
of
yeah.
things on screen in the game.
That shit fucking annoying. Holy sweet mother of Jesus. I did not enjoy that whatsoever. It was clunky. It was not fun. That's one of the. Also, the frame rate just tanks every time you use the Ultra Hand.
I didn't have that issue except one time when I was trying to put 20 trees together.
Why are you putting 20 trees together?
I made several
Remember.
long structures, and
Yeah.
I had to pay for that with my frames.
Oh my god. I'm surprised the Switch didn't fucking explode like it did with
Real.
Xenoblade 3.
It's actually a miracle the game runs. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
But no, I think the Ultra Hand's a good replacement for Magnesis. It just needs a better maneuverability of the angles, if that makes any sense at all.
I think they did a good job with it, honestly.
They did a good job. It's just that one thing just hinders it for me.
Are we gonna talk abilities one by one, or?
We're talking about them one by one, or we can
Okay.
or we can reflect on them later on.
I mean, because I'll just spoil right now. I love this set of them. This is actually going to probably be one of my most positive sections. So I'm kind of just waiting to talk about them all together myself.
Okay. Fuse. I like the idea of Fuse.
Mhm.
But there are a few things. I hate how I don't know if this is a thing you guys felt when playing this game. I felt like the weapon durability got worse just so that it can make you use Fuse more.
That was intentional.
Yeah.
And I used Fuse.
I
used it a
we
lot.
all use Fuse. I used once I learned that the Iron Spike Ball near the Hyrule Town can make some of the most overpowered weapons. I'm like, yay! I can break the game.
They just needed to make it easier to fuse things in menus.
That's
oh my god,
only,
that was the worst part.
That's my only big complaint with Fuse is that the interface is really clunky. But on the whole, I think Fuse is fantastic.
I
think
don't.
Fuse was really fun, but there
I
was
I don't like the interface because it's just the interface you use when you were switching weapons or But when you have so much shit when you're trying to attach something to your arrow, it's
I mean, honestly, we could have a whole section on user interface because I think that is the real issue here. I don't think this is necessarily a fuse problem.
Yeah. No, I hate. You can organize it by like recently used and all this other stuff. But the thing is the mini menu when you're pulling up fuse in the moment and your pause menu, if you organize them the same way. So if you're like changing fuse, like I want to use this. It's not in my recently used. Let me go to recently used, and then you're like, okay, now I can shoot bomb flowers.
I had to use
open your menu, then you have to swap it back to the other way so you can find that easier. And it's just like, please make them different.
I had to reorganize the menu like sometimes as much as like 3-4 times per combat encounter, and that was a little silly. I wish you could pin items, having pinned arrows or something like that. I love how fuse interacts with the bow. That is one of my absolute favorite things in the whole.
I love how it has that I like that. What I also wish they did is that in the menu you could go to like a item, click fuse, and then fuse it with like a arrow, and then you can make you can have the own type of arrow, and then like let's say you have a bomb fruit, you click fuse, you fuse it to the arrow, and then like you have an arrow when you pull out a bow, you have an arrow menu showing you all the arrows you made while fusing in the menu, and then you can just switch those instantaneously and just having to like constantly.
Yeah, if you could just have like a pinned arrow menu, that would be phenomenal.
That would literally solve everything.
And also, I'm gonna be honest, the fucking clunky UI I just stopped using bomb arrows in general. That's literally I like when I got to like the final later half of the game on my play session, I gave up. I just did everything by grabbing the iron spike ball, fusing it with a stick, and just breaking rocks with a fucking iron ball stick, and that's it.
Bombs were always consistently in my top 3 most used.
Oh yeah.
Same with fire seeds.
One of my top 3 most used was it was like a skeleton body part that looked like a spiral. If you know what that.
The Gibdo bone. I use the Gibdo bones a lot.
It's so powerful.
Yes.
I used it in the end game against Gamble Dork. One thing I also don't like about fuse is the durability doesn't really increase when you fuse something, or that's how I felt. Let's say you have a nearly broken weapon and you fuse it. It still feels like you have the same amount of durability as when you first got the weapon you didn't fuse, if that makes sense.
I don't know. Whenever I fused, I felt the increase.
The only ones I felt the increases was the demon sword.
I did find that if you fuse a weapon with a weapon, I think they both keep their durability, and I believe the weapon that's being used as the base the weapon that's being used as the tip breaks first, then the base. But I believe if you fuse weapons with a material, they just get more durability. Mm-hmm. At least that's how it felt for me.
Yeah, they do get more durability, but it I felt that it varied a little too much. So I was like, I would always make sure I would fuse to my new weapons. And because the UI was really, really bad, I would always do everything in bulk. I would be I just fuse everything, create all my potions and whatever I needed, and then
having to take an item out, drop it, and then fuse it that way always felt really silly. You know what else? Again, I hate to go to UI. The fact that you can't hold from the quick menu, you can only hold from the menu.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Also, the fact that Zonai equipment, when you attach it to your shield, just fucking obliterates the durability on your shield is just. It's just a light, bro. It doesn't need to go.
The light, I will actually agree, is really silly.
Bro,
I tried to do
with
that
with the light on, with flamethrower, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. I agree with that. With light, it doesn't need to be the durability of a fucking Pringle, if that makes sense.
Late game, I started using realized and used the Zonai shields with the Zonai parts, and I actually had a lot of fun with those.
The only one I realized that doesn't really affect the durability of the shield is the rocket. Because you could fuse it to your shield, and you could just go in the air.
That one's
They
so
do
funny. Like
break
that.
your shield eventually, but rockets are so silly.
But like rockets don't like
I
affect
love
it that. Rockets don't affect
Yeah.
it that much though.
No, you can use quite a few. I love them.
But like the light, of all things, the light's mostly gonna be used in the shrine. Like it's fucking worthless. But like I don't mind Fuse. I just wish there was improvements to Fuse if we do get another open world Zelda game. Cause like I said, you can talk about the UI all fucking day.
Yeah.
Ascend, I think that's the next one. Probably is, yeah. Ascend I found to be too situational, if that makes sense.
I could not disagree more.
I used it a lot.
I barely felt I need to use it, honestly.
Well, so here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to use it. I would actually say the game probably could have used maybe a couple surfaces that you can't ascend through, just because ascend is so powerful.
I know, like, I used Ascend to, like, break the fire temple in the final puzzle. Like, the final one I need to get to, and that was it. But other than that, I just used Ascend to, like, oh, I need Ascend to get into
Here's
this
the thing,
or...
like, you can... it's like, sort of get ahead, right? Like, you could hold an object up with Ultra Hand, drop it, use Rewind, and then ascend through that floating object.
Yeah.
That...
You
Jesus.
can do crazy stuff with
You
ascend.
can do insane things. I love how much you can do, but I also kind of hate how much you can do. I've trivialized every puzzle.
Yes.
And it's just like,
Yeah, anytime I got stuck, my methodology is like, am I not using ascend here? Is that the problem?
Part of of
And
it
9
was
out of
like,
10 times that was the answer.
if I saw if I saw a solution and was like, ooh, that's gonna take too long, I'd ascend.
That's your fucking ADHD being impatient.
No. I think this is valid. I think that is quite literally like optimal strategy at play. Like,
Yeah.
ascend is just a little like, I love it. I am willing to trade off how much it breaks the game for just the sheer convenience is good. I like it more than I don't. I just also, if they ever do ascend again, I wouldn't mind, like, you can't ascend through these surfaces, or you gotta find like this.
It's kind of a double-edged sword for me because like I love it and I never want to see it again. First and foremost, I don't want to see Ascend come back. As convenient as it is, because a lot of why I like Zelda is the puzzle aspect of it, and Ascend ruined a lot of those puzzles, and it was hard for me to not just go, okay, I'm gonna not use Ascend and do this puzzle the long way, because I mean this we'll get to this later. I think the puzzles in Tears of the Kingdom are kind of cheeks. I don't think they're very good. So it was very easy for me to just go, I'm just gonna ascend and go to the end of the shrine.
I didn't find like the puzzles that used to send in the shrines to be all that worthwhile personally.
I just didn't find the shrine.
It was just like put this panel at like a certain position to just ascend, and that was really the most we got out of Ascend. I feel like, yeah, if you go out of your way to like do like crazy shit with Ascend, like the time review versing thing Knacks said, like, yeah, I'll probably have.
I wouldn't even
fun.
categorize that in crazy, to be honest.
Well, you think it's more? Do you think it's normalized?
Yes, I believe there are actually shrines that involve using techniques.
Well, I didn't do all the fucking shrines. I did half of them.
Well, that's why I am here.
I
Granted,
did 90% of them.
granted, to be honest, I don't remember a lot of them.
Dude, same. I remember, like, off the top of my head, I remember one.
I do have a favorite shrine. I do remember that one.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember a few shrines, but they're not.
And
as
I
many
remember,
as
like, there was like
Buckwood.
one or two that actually got me stuck, and I had to look up solutions, but the rest were very easy.
There was one that I knew the solution, I knew what it wanted me to do, and I was like, no, I'm doing this my way. And what should have taken like 2 minutes took like an hour.
It shouldn't take an hour.
It was really funny. I was just stubborn and
I
stupid.
know. Maybe if I replay the game, if I ever do, like I'll probably try to make more use out of Sun, but it's one of my least favorite ones.
Well, because I just used it everywhere. Like when
Mhm.
exploring, when doing anything, there were always
Agreed.
situations to just like use Ascend to make my life easier, and on that I valued it. I do really like the convenience it brought, even if it trivialized a couple things. But I personally think just with some design tightening, it could still work and still have its functionality.
That's fair.
The rewind one. That's another one I'm not really that big of a fan of. Though I don't know if I'm like on the bottom end of that, honestly,
At the
because like
risk of sounding like a broken record, I
At risk
really
of
like
sounding-
Rewind.
I
Rewind's
don't.
broken.
I like these powers. I like them a lot. The one thing I will say, because kind of why I want to talk about them as a whole, is in Breath of the Wild, the powers are very like they have their thing, they do their thing.
Mhm.
I really like the synergy of the toolkit in this game.
Yeah.
And
I
just
just
how a
felt-
lot of times you're like combining abilities together to chain into different things. I just found that fun.
I just didn't really have a use for it. Except for like trying to get on the Sky Island, maybe because in the Sky Islands the blocks will like drop from like Sky Islands.
Yeah, I
and, like,
mean you
rewind them.
can just do that with platforms. You can move them around with.
I know,
Ultra
like,
and
the time they
rewind them.
The time I used rewind on puzzles, it was like satisfying, but that was really about it.
Rewind also breaks.
Like I'm not gonna say it's the worst thing ever. I honestly prefer over Ascend, but it's one of the weaker ones for me. Though you guys probably got more
Kibbs,
use
you
out
were-
of it because
You were going with something.
huh?
I think Kibbs was trying to go. With
Oh.
I got a lot of use out of Rewind. Also because it's extremely broken. I think all the abilities in Tears of the Kingdom, just on the whole, I think they're really cool. I think they're fun, but I don't want to see them return.
So they're like a one-time like game. They're a one game only kind of ability set.
Because I started to kind of get sick of all the abilities. By the end of the game, everything had lost its luster.
Mhm.
But Rewind I think is like the one I especially don't want to see back because it really breaks things. It's very convenient sometimes because you're like you're using something with Ultra Hand, you made it, and oops, it fell off the edge. If you can rewind to get it back up there, then man, I've been in that situation many times. It's very helpful. Lifting up the wing in the air, drop it, and
wing.
then, yeah, and then rewind or ascend to get to it, so that way you can fly with it without having to make a crazy ramp or something. It's very helpful. I think the synergies of all the abilities is really what makes them shine.
We also have auto build because that's technically an
well,
ability.
To go on Rewind, I'm actually curious. I guess specifically for you, Kibbs, what makes it so broken? Because I do agree it's a little overpowered. I think Ascent is more broken, personally.
There's just a lot of times you can grab a platform, lift it up, drop it, stand on it, rewind, and then you're home free.
I mean, there is the limitation that you can only raise a platform so high with Ultra Hand. Like, there are a lot of situations where that solves things, but I feel like that's not... I feel like for a couple puzzles, that's almost the same amount of work as just climbing, so that doesn't really bother me personally.
Yeah, that's fair. It was just for me a very, very easy, like, get out of jail free card that I used more than I did, like, Ascend, to get past things. So it's probably just the way that I used the abilities. Rewind ended up feeling the most broken to me, but
I get you.
That makes sense, yeah. Also, auto build's a thing. I barely used it.
no, same. I actually didn't use this one. Like,
I used it.
It's convenient. I know it's convenient, but like, we can get to this when we talk about the actual building part, like making vehicles in this game. But like, I just barely used it because I had no need for vehicles after a certain point.
Engineering
sense.
is one of those systems, because yeah, I think it is good to just use auto build to talk about the engineering as a whole, where I think that is an amazing, like, so much effort was put into this system. It is so robust, so cool. It is not what I come to Zelda for.
I come to Zelda for, like, the experience overall. Like, it's like one of the reasons why I love Wind Waker. I know people trash on the dungeons. Yeah, the dungeons are weak. I don't think the dungeons are like some of the best in Zelda history. But the story, the open, like, my favorite part of Zelda Wind Waker is the open sea. But, like, Tears, and, like, the ways you could traverse it, and, like, all the cool things you could find. And in that sort of lens, Tears of the Kingdom is a disappointment because, as I said before, the open world is just a rehash of the original. The Sky Islands are copy-paste, and the depths are really annoying to traverse through. But, like, I don't mind the engineering. I think the engineering is actually the best part about the open world aspect of Zelda of Tears of the Kingdom. Because you can make some crazy shit.
So it's
like not just talking about like cars and like your auto, like your plane, like your wing things with like fans and stuff. Like, go on Reddit, you'll find some crazy shit people have made. Like, people made Beyblades in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I actually didn't find the engineering bit of Tears of the Kingdom to be anything super crazy for me. I know it's like absolutely bonkers for some people, but I used the horse more often than I did engineering, specifically without rockets. I think rockets were just like, this is my engineering. I'm shooting myself everywhere.
I did not use a single horse. I did not get a horse this entire place. I just did it all by foot.
I used horses a bit, but I just honestly did most things on foot.
Yeah.
I find when you build a car and like you can drive it with like the control panel on that you could put on there, I found the steering to be way too stiff.
Yeah, no, that's why I didn't. That's why I used a horse.
It's like when I'm going left, it feels like I'm like moving left at like a 15-degree angle per second. Like, I don't want that shit. Like, if I want to turn left, I want to turn like at least 30 degrees, not 30 degrees instantaneously, not 15 degrees per second. Like, I don't like the driving. It's not fun at all. I don't. It's like the convenience of like going back to a shrine you already activated. It's like it's more convenient than just building a car and just driving.
Yeah.
Personally,
so I don't think the terrain was built for a vehicle. So
I don't think the terrain was built for vehicles in the depths either. Like,
that is something I will agree. Is the couple times that I made like wheel-based vehicles, how often I found myself having to ultra hand correct the vehicle wasn't great.
Yeah, that's why I used the horse because I kind of knew where I couldn't go inherently on horseback. Because but I didn't ever have to ultra hand the horse to keep going where I wanted to go.
Ultra hand the horse to be out. Ultra hand like 4 horses on like to the sides of like metal platform. Just have that be your car.
I generally enjoyed making the sea craft and the aircraft.
There's a sea craft. Oh yeah, the rafts. Yeah, I think the game was made with like aircrafts in mind because there's so many things you could do with like air-based materials like balloons and stuff. Like, it feels like they wanted you to emphasize the traveling in the sky. Like, I felt like that was the main thing they wanted you to do. But no, I just find driving just to be inconvenient because like it's a bunch of mountains and like. Yeah, it's just a bunch of mountains and like cliffs, and like in the depths, it's just mostly cliffs, and you can just fall off of them. It's like, how do I get back up now?
The way they designed the Breath of the Wild world was specifically to have a lot of like peaks and valleys, and
yeah,
it like you can't really like comfortably drive on that, which kind of just made me not want to use the vehicles too much. I literally only used it for like sky stuff. My rockets left trails in the sky.
Oh god, you're gonna be known for that person now. Thanks.
I gotta shill for trails, bro.
And look, trails is good, but I need to play.
Yeah.
We'll get to that one day. Don't worry.
Let's go.
But I didn't use much of the sea stuff because I didn't really have a need to like travel on water.
I just flew over it.
Yeah, I just used the champion. I just used the champion ability.
Like,
Just
there's water.
go further across the air.
Paraglider.
Yeah.
Depended on the situation. There's that one part in the depths where there's like a big monkey. I found making vehicles in there is pretty helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, if I don't really find the engineering to be all that like useful most of the time, I'm not going to use auto build.
I genuinely think the engineering is one of those systems that like is so fundamental that it will heavily kind of make or break your opinion on the game.
It made me miss Rivali's Gale.
Oh my god, I miss that ability so fucking much. Playing through the game, I was like, God, I really wish I had Rivali's Gale.
Yeah, I know I have a lot of other options. I know there are alternatives to Rivali's Gale, but I don't want to sit there tying a balloon to a platform and then throwing a fire thing on it.
You know, if you beat that DLC, you got 2 Rivali Gales.
That is true.
Crazy, no way.
No, I think you got 3 of them actually. I think it was 3.
I only got 2.
No, I remember. You got 3 by default. I think. I'm pretty sure. And then when you beat, you got 3 by default, and then when you beat the DLC for Rivali, like Rivali's DLC, it recharges faster, so it'll be quicker to get. So Rivali's Gale will recharge more quickly.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I haven't played that game in 5 years, and I know this more than.
Yeah, it makes it go from 6 minutes of recharge to 2 minutes of recharge.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I didn't. There weren't many moments where I needed to use Rivali's Gale that badly in like Breath of the Wild. But man, yeah. No, I missed it though in Tears of the Kingdom. The absence was like, I felt it. It was there, and I'm like, why can't I just hit a button and go? Wee?
We could
I have to hit like 30 buttons and then put everything together.
We could talk champion abilities when we talk about dungeons. But overall, I find the ability list to be like flawed but functional. Well, not functional, but like good.
It's one of the only ways I think they could have made Tears of the Kingdom like work as a Breath of the Wild sequel. But I found myself falling less and less in love with them as time went on.
Yeah.
My thoughts on them in conclusion are, I actually like this ability set better than Breath of the Wild's. I wish they were in a game that was built around them from the ground up.
Because it felt like in the world, it felt like because like Breath of the Wild, it felt like it was made for like the abilities you were given.
To be clear, I think they did a pretty good job of making them feel good in here. There were the seams where it's like this world wasn't built around these. There could have been some deeper consideration into these.
No, most definitely.
But these are the thing I am most positive on. With these games. I love these things.
Kind of mixed on like, or I'm of two minds between the abilities and which one I like more. Because on one hand, I really liked how puzzle focused Breath of the Wild's abilities were, and like just the funny, wacky stuff you could do with it. But Tears of the Kingdom abilities straight up just objectively have more going for them.
I felt like
the only Breath of the Wild ability I missed was stasis. That was it.
I missed having the 2 bombs. I thought they were cool. I know we have like a little bomb.
They're convenient.
They're convenient. The magnesis was somewhat useful in certain situations.
Ultra Hand in my eyes is just a complete.
Ultra Hand is better. It's just too clunky for my liking.
That reminds me. Ultra Hand. Okay. Magnesis. I miss Magnesis because what I could do is I would grab my Wii U gamepad, boot up Breath of the Wild, I'd get a metal box, and I would just, like, essentially chuck my controller into the air, let go of Magnesis, and the box would go flying, and it would You cannot do that with Ultra Hand. Everything moves so, like, it's like you're moving it through gelatin, and it's like, I was so mad. That was one of the first things I did when I got Ultra Hand. I was like, I'm gonna chuck this in the air, and it's gonna land on that robot. And I just tried it, and it just, like, It just kind of went up through Jello, stopped, and then fell. And I was like, this is the worst game ever made. Okay. Like I'll give Magnesis that over Ultra Hand. I like being able to throw things in the air because I did that.
I can't argue with that.
You can't.
Maybe I don't like Ultra Hand.
I know it's stupid and dumb, but I would have loved to just
the actual one I want to ask is, was anyone really sad that Cryonis was gone? Can you look me in the eyes and say?
Okay, I can't look me in the eyes to say that, but
where's Cryonis?
I use when I played Breath of the Wild, I used Cryonis a lot.
I missed it for the sole factor of it was an excellent tool for the way that they designed puzzles. And
yes,
that is it.
That's kind of where I really like these abilities more, is just like there's so many more situations you can use them.
Yeah, Cryonis
and that's
is like, does
the
shrine
big one
have
I
water
point
in it?
to. Yeah, with the Botwa design.
Yeah.
We'll talk about we could talk about shine. Yes, Mario Sunshine.
I like there's 120 of them, but I don't like getting the blue coins.
Yeah, I personally typically just do 50 shine runs.
I actually like getting the blue coins, but don't tell anyone.
I kind of do as well. I just like how like the blue coins incentivize you on like. Wait, what are we talking? We're talking about Tears of the Kingdom, not Mario. We can talk about that on our off time, but no, shrines. I'm looking at these on my piece of paper. I wrote shines instead of shrines.
It's hilarious.
But no, okay, shrines. Okay, so shrines are where you're going to get the most out of your abilities. So I think we should talk about what we thought of the shrines overall.
Mid.
I don't like how there's almost 160 of them.
Mid.
Are there really 156, or are there like 50 or so Raoru's blessings? Let's be real.
So true.
Hold on, let me look it up. Let me look up the specific number.
I'm pretty sure it's 152 shrines, I believe.
How many?
A third of them are Raoru's. Almost a third of them are Raoru's.
I think. Okay, Knack, I'm gonna try to guess what your favorite shrine is, because I just remember that the shrine existed.
Oh, it's probably correct.
Yeah, because of what we're talking about. The one where you it looks like it's a blessing.
Yep.
The words are different. You walk forward and it just changes. Dude, that is my
absolute favorite shrine in the game. I got such a huge laugh out of it when that happened, because by that point, every time I walked into a Raoru's blessing shrine, I'm like, that's it. Like, I get it. The environment outside was the puzzle, but 50% of the time, I never found those that satisfying.
Yeah.
I don't think I ran into that shrine on my playthrough.
It's so funny.
You missed the best shrine.
I told you to go there.
I don't know which one it was.
It was a sky shrine, right?
Yeah,
if I remember.
Yeah, it was at the mazes. It was at one of the mazes.
I did one of the mazes, found it annoying, and just gave up. Okay.
Okay, the mazes.
I love
the mazes were actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a blast with them. I made it my goal to go to all of them as soon as I got the Ganon armor from.
They are the game's best usage of all three overworlds in sync together.
I
100% agree.
I'll go back to Tears of the Kingdom and probably do that shrine. It's probably one of the other two I didn't do, but I know there's three of them.
I want to say, I never want to see a green crystal with a line coming out of it ever again.
Yo, same.
I stopped doing the Sky Island shrines after I think I got all of the shrines on the mainland minus 5, and then I just missed more than half the ones in the sky because they were.
I did half of the shrines in the Sky Island and half the shrines on the overworld, and that was it.
Those were my least favorite shrines, bar none. Was move the crystal. I stopped enjoying those by around the third iteration of that.
Yeah.
Out of 50.
Well, because half the time, Because those are where I'd have some frustrations with the engineering sometimes. Because I'd make a
Mhm.
device, I'd move it over. Oh no, it was the wrong device. Time to go back and restart
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's trial and error.
I wish
It's just
I
not fun.
as weird as it would be, I kind of wish there was like a quick build mode that was kind of something in between auto build and Ultra Hand, where you don't have to use the clunky Ultra Hand controls to like put things together, and you could just like make it more snappy. Just be like, here are your list of resources on hand, and then you go beep 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 beep, and you make something.
Yeah.
I think that'd be nice. It wasn't necessary really, but it would have been nice.
There's one shrine that comes into my head. It's where like there's like a giant body of water right in front of you, and like platforms are skating by. You have to like take advantage of like the Ultra Hand and the rewind function to like get across like this huge body of water.
Oh, yeah,
And like
yeah.
there's even one where like you replace the water with sand, but you need to build like a device to like traverse through the sand because the
Yeah.
sand is also quicksand. Like I love those shrines the most. Like those
Yeah.
like got the use out of the abilities the most.
Anytime there was one of those, I forget what they were called, but like the Eventide style shrines, I enjoyed
Yeah.
those every single time.
I liked them half of the time, and then
I didn't like the battle-centric ones, honestly.
yeah,
I like the one where you build a Roomba and have it.
That's so true!
That one
one's
was
pretty
awesome.
Funny. That one's really funny. I think they do a generally good job of showing you the types of things you can do for people who are less creative, like me. Because when I was sitting there, I'm like, what do they want me to do? And I was like, oh. Because first I just I picked up a weapon and fused it with the spiky wall, and then it clicked. I was like, oh no, I'm just stupid. They want me to put these two things together, and it was very amusing.
It was hilarious. But other than that, I just like find the other battle ones to be like so monotonous, if that makes sense, or repetitive.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you lost all your things. Okay, here are some weapons for you. Now kill every other fucking robot.
I enjoy it. For me, they never went on long enough to be tedious, so I found that.
I also missed the Guardians. I should have mentioned that in the overworld section.
Oh yeah, I missed the Guardian.
Yeah,
So, the Guardians in Breath of the Wild. Like
how about we go through? How about we keep going through shrines and then we have like a Guardian tangent afterwards? Can we put that on the dock?
But like other shrines I can think of is just like move platforms, use ascend, and that's it. There's like another one I'm thinking of. I just don't remember it clearly. But like the ones that come to my head are just like the ones that are like get the crystal to this and then just get your blessing and the fighting ones. Like those two just stick in my head the most because I did not enjoy them whatsoever. Aside from the Roomba one. The Roomba one was fun.
I just found most of the shrines to be forgettable. And I played Tears of the Kingdom like 5 months ago, and I can remember like 3 or 4 off the top of my head. I'm thinking back to Breath of the Wild shrines, and wow, those have their own problems as well, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, despite the fact that it's been 6 years, I can still remember a pretty good chunk of them.
There's one where you have to have, like in Breath of the Wild, I remember the one where it's like you have to have like a torch and you have to keep this blue flame lit through the entire shrine to get to the end. Like that's memorable. And I'm not gonna remember most of the shrines in this one.
The two connected shrines that give the solution for each other one, which like that was super cool.
That was creative.
There's one that I don't know how to describe, but it was a double bomb puzzle.
Also the ones where like the goal is to get into the shrine. There were some creative ones that weren't just copy pasted, like avoid the flowers from fucking vegan lady. Play Survivor on this fucking island. Like there's some creative ways to get into the shrine if it not being just bring the crystal here.
And of course, it's not like it wasn't perfect. It was far from it because there were like 30 million tests of strength, and there were a lot of
the minor tests of strength were fine. It was just the major ones that were just prominent.
When there was a puzzly shrine, or some basically not a combat or a blessing shrine in Breath of the Wild, I found those to be far more engaging. Tears of the Kingdom, I walk in, go, okay, there's buttons, bomb arrow. Okay, I need to get up there. Okay, ascend. And it's just like, I need to build something. Well, I could build whatever they probably want me to build, or I could just make some horrendous contraption and just go forward. And I didn't feel much satisfaction in doing any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I was simply going through the motions in Tears of the Kingdom, whereas in Breath of the Wild, I was like actively going, all right, what do I do?
So, unfortunately, I do not remember the Breath of the Wild shrines well enough to kind of chime into the memorability debate. And I did all of them in that game too.
I love them.
Yeah, so I can't really comment on which one. What I can say is that I definitely, about quarter of the way in, I realized, like, hey, these shrines are pretty easy, and that didn't really change. There were, I think, 2 shrines in total that I had trouble with. There was one where it was like a bunch of, like, balls, and you were trying to, launch them in a specific way.
Oh, that fucking one. Oh, that one sucks.
That one tripped me up.
The baseball one?
No, not the baseball one. Because that's where you're setting up like a baseball contraption, right?
Yeah.
No, this is like 3 like boulder-sized balls.
Oh, okay. I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that one took me like a good half hour, and I think I did end up looking it up, and I got really frustrated because at one point I was close to the solution. It didn't work, so I assumed it was wrong and started looking at another solution.
Yeah.
There was one other shrine that stumped me, and I can't remember what it is, other than I think it frustrated me even more than that one.
There was one that just had a bunch of rails.
I like that one, where you have to find a way to traverse through, get that one ball in the minecart and put it on the rails and make sure it stays on it. Yeah, I like those ones.
The Rube Goldberg ones actually tend to be my favorite.
Yeah.
When they would happen.
And all the shrines, most of these shrines in Tears of the Kingdom may be forgettable. They're better than that fucking motion control bullshit from the first game from Breath of the Wild.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I kind of loved those shrines.
Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here!
I thought it was silly, gimmicky, funny fun.
The first time I did one of those, I was playing in handheld, which was my mistake.
I was playing on the Wii U, so I'm also
handheld. You're not a gamer. You're You're filthy casual.
I had just bought my Switch. I want to take advantage of what it could do.
Look, I played the game on my Switch too. I don't play Switch portably anymore.
I played it on the Wii U. You both suck.
Bro, you had the worst version.
No.
I don't think there was really much of a.
I think it's the Wii U version has a worse frame rate because it has a weaker processor. I'm pretty sure.
How can it be, it was lower than 30?
No, it got lowered. It got lowered to 30 more so than in the Switch version.
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's still targeted 30.
Yeah.
But the Switch allows me to play it on handheld. When I was in middle school, I took advantage of that.
But no, hold on. No, back up. You were just yelling at me for playing Breath of the Wild in handheld, and now you are saying...
No, you're playing the motion control puzzles in handheld. That's the problem.
Because I was doing something that wasn't the motion control shrine, and I got to it. So this was my very first playthrough. I'm not
Looks like a motion control shrine's coming up. Better docket.
Yeah, my very first ball puzzle at the beginning.
Yeah.
Better docket.
No, you don't even have to dock it. You know what you just need to do? Just take the Joy-Cons out, put it in a control grip, and then just control it that way.
Hey, you know what I ended up doing once I realized that it didn't work in handheld mode? You know what I ended up doing?
Crying?
What?
I took the controllers out.
Wait, did you have a Pro Controller at that point? Because that also works.
No, I just bought the Switch!
The Pro Controller was out by then!
I bought a Switch with Mario Odyssey, and then I bought Breath of the Wild. I wasn't just gonna go drop money on a Pro Controller.
But the Pro Controller is better than the fucking Joy-Cons.
It's $60.
It's very expensive.
I was a college student.
Yeah, I survived off of my initial pair of Joy-Cons for a year and a half before
the Switch, because it was my birthday, my parents are like, we'll go half in with you. All right, that's how I was able to afford a Switch at the time. I wasn't working.
I
got my graduation.
look,
gift.
I have the most experience out of Joy-Cons, I think, out of all of us, because it wasn't until last year I got a fucking Pro Controller.
I mean, my Joy-Cons got drift during my BOTW playthrough, actually, like 2 months.
Really?
They started drifting, and then they got really bad in December when I was trying to play Xenoblade 2. And let me tell you, that's not a game you want to have.
You do not want to play that with drift. No,
I have never experienced Joy-Con drift, and now that I've said that, my Joy-Cons are all crumbling to bits.
I got Joy-Con drift in 2020, but like it was like after like the whole reports were coming out of it. I didn't know about it. But luckily, I have a tech-savvy father, and he fixed my Joy-Cons for me.
Managed to get Nintendo customer support to finally accept that something was wrong, and they let me send them in and get them fixed.
Man, we need to after this. I need to check how the whole Joy-Con drift thing's going after. But let's start a Guardian tangent.
Yeah, I like.
Because like,
Gleeok.
Here's what I think.
Cool.
Here's what I think.
They're not a Guardian substitute.
Okay, so here's what I think. Guardians and Breath of the Wild. So, if you didn't have the massive storage, Guardians were like the biggest threat to you.
Yeah, once you learn to parry Guardians, they become a joke.
Yeah.
Well, I have terrible time. Well, back then I had terrible timing.
I had godly timing. I was like, I wonder, and I did it first try and went, oh.
Maybe all that Bayonetta helped you.
Yeah, no. Once I learned Guardian time, like there was even like a thing where like my little cousin was playing Breath of the Wild a couple of years ago. He was struggling, and I'm like, hand it over.
Yeah, dude.
It came back to me, like the Guardian timing in the moment, and his eyes like lit up when he saw that you could do that.
Same thing happened with one of my buddies. He's like, man, I can't get into Hyrule Castle, and I'm looking at him. He has 4 hearts, and he's just trying to make it. And I'm like, all right, Casey, check this out. He's like, how did you? I'm like, just parry it. And I handed the controller back, and he died immediately. And I was like, oops.
That is where I will say, I'm not upset that the Guardians specifically didn't come back, because I can kill a Guardian like it's nothing.
Yeah.
I wanted something equivalent with a different method of killing.
I agree. I'm also just upset that they don't ever address what happened to them.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, where are the Guardians? Like, in Breath of the Wild, you saw Guardians like all over the world, like remnants of like what happened 100 years ago. Now they're just fucking. They got Thanos snapped.
Zoom. It's probably some because they were corrupted by the Calamity. Right, so you take out the Calamity, they were probably just decommissioned. They were probably like, all right, we're not doing this again. We're taking these off the streets. Let's get them out.
The towers and the shrines, and I'm just like, what happened to those? Where did they go?
That is definitely a case of Tears of the Kingdom is doing its best to be standalone in addition to being
that's how they
a sequel.
Well, like it tries to be.
Hey, fun fact. There is nothing in the game, as far as I'm aware, that confirms that Calamity Ganon and Ganondorf are the same being. They could just be 2 different guys, for all we know.
Sometimes it feels like Tears of the Kingdom is like trying to be its own thing and not try to be connected to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Well, we can get to that when we talk about the story, the story. But no, we got dungeons now. Okay, let's talk about how these suck.
This is where the magic of Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay, so I want to go. Okay, do you have any particular order you guys want to go in with these dungeons? Because we all know like the 5th one is going to be the worst one.
I think everyone started with the Rito dungeon, right?
I started with the. I did my order was Zora, Rito, Gerudo, and then Goron.
I think we should start most positive one first. Can we all agree here that the Lightning Temple is the best one?
Yes. Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I had to actively not. I almost did the Lightning Temple skip by accident.
Wait, does the Lightning Temple skip?
Wait, you could just skip into the boss room.
How?
And
That's crazy.
hey, you know Ascend? That ability that you...
Bro, fuck that ability! I'm not using it to break the game!
This is the thing. When you were about to say Ascend is useless, the entire speedrunning community would like to have a word with you.
Yeah.
The Zelda family is already on my ass for my opinion on Majora's Mask. I don't need more.
More like Majora's Mask. I'm just kidding. I love that.
Thank
game.
you.
It's
I'm
literally
sure.
top 25. You're
Same.
cringe.
I love Majora. Yeah, I think my favorite temple is actually the Fire Temple, if I'm being honest.
Really?
Really?
That one was like on the better scale for me.
That one is probably my second least favorite.
The only reason I put it at number 1 is because it was at least doing... Like, I will say this. I found it kind of annoying with the mine carts. I remember it. It was at least doing something.
Someone once again point to Ascend for the Fire Temple.
Oh my god, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Fire thing. It literally, I beat that entire temple in like 20 minutes.
It's funny because for me, it's the opposite where I found Ascend. It was kind of like that for me, but with the lightning temple.
Ascend, I only used in the final thing I needed to get at the Fire Temple, but that was it.
But I mean, really, like in general, these dungeons are great.
So I'm gonna go in order of like how I did it because
Let's go.
The Zora Temple, that was
garbage, trash.
What is it with fucking Zelda games not having good water temple?
Okay,
No,
disagree there.
Yeah.
Except Twilight Princess, I'll give it that
Still
one.
disagree there.
Ocarina and Majora's are both fire.
No, for real, like genuinely.
Link, I haven't played it in a while, but I remember Oracle of Ages having.
I have not played the Oracle game, so I can't say on those.
I just played Seasons. I need to get to Ages.
Bro, I just need to say Temple of the Ocean King. That's all.
I am a Temple of the Ocean King defender.
Get the hell out of here!
You're safe here. You're safe here. I'm with you.
It is. I genuinely. It is actually like. On the whole, I prefer Spirit Tracks. I like Temple of the Ocean King better than the Tower of Spirits, but regardless...
Love it. Yeah, anyway.
Water dungeons are actually really good.
Yeah.
But like,
this one sucks.
This one sucks. This one's awful.
I'm just like... It felt so... It felt like it was like a linear track. That was the problem.
So, this is another dungeon that I cleared in 20 minutes because what I did was I cleared the I
went ascend your way through this one at least.
Yeah, I went wind, lightning, fire, water, I believe, and so when I did the fire one, I was like, that literally took 20 minutes. There's no way that didn't take less than 20 minutes. So when I did the water temple, I timed myself. I just hit the start button on a timer, went through it, literally beat it in less than 20 minutes. And then I timed one of my other friends playing it just to be like, maybe I'm just going Super Saiyan mode. And I timed it. He was also like 20 minutes. And I was like, I don't think there's any Zelda game where a dungeon should take 20 minutes. That is
even like the dungeons of like Skyward Sword, like even the first one, I think it took like
some of the Spirit Tracks dungeons might have took me 20 minutes, but then...
Look, I just remember like because I have Skyward Sword in my mind whenever I think of Tears of the Kingdom. But like even like the first dungeon in Skyward Sword, 40 minutes, like 30 minutes at the least. And that's the first dungeon.
And I mean, to be clear, I don't think time is indicative of quality for the temples and dungeons in Zelda. However, the fact that they're also like just lackluster and don't do anything interesting, specifically talking Water Temple, it makes it even. It kind of makes it even worse. It's like it just felt like they weren't trying. They're just like,
I just don't like how linear. Because you go around in a circle, you fucking beat it. That's literally it.
So my thing is, I can't really talk about one temple without talking about all of them because I don't really remember. I don't remember the unique things. Like obviously, you use the abilities in each one.
Yeah.
My issue with these temples, and I'm sorry, I'm just talking about all of them right now, is that you walk in, you get your 5 waypoints, and they're like, okay, go do the thing here, here, and here. And that's sort of it. There's never like a recontextualization moment of what you're doing.
It's the fucking
puzzles
Divine
aren't that
Beast.
exciting. No, the Divine Beasts are better.
No, they're way
I'm
better,
gonna say, like, I'm not saying like they're worse than the Divine Beast. I'm just saying, well, they are worse than the Divine Beast, but like the Divine Beast at least had the interesting thing, like you have to control the Divine Beast to like get specific things.
Yeah, the Divine Beast had macro level dungeon manipulation, which I wish was not, reused across all 4 of them. But that was more interesting than what Tears of the Kingdom was doing.
Yeah, I think they hit a formula too much with the dungeons. There's a problem with the Divine Beast, and it's a much larger problem here, I'd argue.
Yes.
But like, because looking at past games, like sure they follow kind of a vague formula, but it's the formula of puzzles and then boss.
I mean,
a
big part of it.
Go ahead.
And a big part of it is the lack of like a big state-changing moment. I think that happens in the middle. Typically, it's when you get your dungeon item, and now suddenly everything is different. And I mean, if you want to take like some extreme ones, right? I mean, Stone Tower Temple was probably my pick for the best dungeon in the series, and like that. Like, there is nothing, and I mean, like, I'm not even going and expecting, like, something on the level of that, right? Yeah. But just, like, that moment where, like, you think you got the dungeon figured out, and then it's like, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
If you want to do a transforming dungeon, I feel, just do Skykeep from Skyward Sword. Like, that was interesting, at least.
That was a good final dungeon. I like
that. That was a fantastic final dungeon.
It's crazy with Tears of the Kingdom because I think that like all but in my opinion the Lightning Temple are like bottom 10 dungeons in the entire series.
At least Wind Waker had something interesting going on every now and again with their dungeons.
I'm biased with Wind Waker 100%.
Wind Waker's
same.
Like Wind Waker's problem is it's just a little too easy, but it's creative.
But like,
with a lot of them.
If you're a little kid, you're not gonna be like, oh, these are too easy. You're gonna go to the Forsaken Fortress for the first time.
Here, I'll say this, right? When you're scaling like the Tower of the Gods in Wind Waker, like that feels big.
Yeah. No, like all the dungeons have like in Wind Waker have that sort of atmosphere going for them, that whole vibe.
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom is just, all right, guys, we gotta go hit these 5 buttons, and then the day is saved. And it's like,
that's
okay.
Also, sort of the thing, right? Is that because the game is non-linear, there is not a real escalation that exists in the dungeons. They all have to be designed, with the exception of the Spirit Temple, in that they could be your first dungeon.
Yeah.
Well,
except technically Hyrule Castle.
I kind of wish the game existed in waves, almost, right? Like you clear a section of temples, and then you get like another layer or just something, right? Because like in most Zelda games, you can like kind of categorize like your early game and like later game dungeons, right? Like Ocarina is really simple. You have the 3 child dungeons and then the 6 adult temples, and those have very different feel to that.
Even looking at like Link Between Worlds, I think is a really good way.
That is the best way you can do like a non-linear way to get to dungeons. Yeah. Where you just need like a certain set of items to like do that dungeon. Like the thief, like the one to get to the thief, you just need a lantern and bombs, and that's it.
I think they did a really good job there, and I think I was hoping for something similar to that, both with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, definitely. Because champion abilities are kind of supposed to be the replacement for items.
The champion abilities are just such fucking downgrades.
They all suck. I literally, I kept them all off the entire game except Tulin.
I just kept them on because they're fucking helpful. Because like, I just need the extra power.
I know this is beating a dead horse, but why is it so cumbersome to use them?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, because I do not dislike these champion abilities. I think individually they're fine.
I mean, like having a shield.
There were more champion abilities in this game that I liked to use than the Breath of the Wild ones. The only one I really liked to use in Breath of the Wild was Rivali's Gale. That being said, the interface for using them was atrocious.
It's like you have to like go up close to them, but sometimes they'll just fucking walk away. It's like just stay fucking still,
like, bro. I would have gotten more use out of them and probably would have a much higher opinion of them.
There were
utilize them properly.
There was like a few. There's like one like the end game like battle, like not the final boss, but like the horde of enemies you fight at the end.
Oh yeah, like the penultimate.
Yeah, like there's like these enemies that like are super several lightning, but then I learned like fucking the Goron Yunobo like fire also affects them, so I use his roll a lot more often.
Yeah.
Like there's some they could be useful, like even the shield, like the water shield can be useful as a defensive ability.
That was probably my least favorite of them.
Yeah.
No. But like, God, fucking Tulios, it's just exploration pace. I feel like these games just need to focus on the exploration more than like the actual like dungeon part of it if they want to like really be an open world game.
I actually really enjoyed Riju's ability when I could get it to work.
When you could get it to work.
When Riju didn't run off to challenge an enemy when I went to go interact with her.
Can we before we talk about the other one, can we talk about the Spirit Temple and why it's the worst dungeon in Zelda ever?
Poo-poo stupid. The putting together the robot is like really tedious, and then taking the robot to the temple is really tedious, and then the boss fight is like cool for 3 seconds, and then it's like, oh man, I wish I would be doing anything else. And then you get the robot and you're like, whoa, how did they mess this up?
It's the worst spirit. It's the worst champion ability of them all. Yay! I ride the robot and he wastes my fucking battery.
I literally never used
it. I call it knockoff Transformer.
it was just bad. It was just bad.
It just feels kind of like.
I actually
do really like the boss fight, even if it was easy, just because it had some like spectacle to it, which I felt a lot of the bosses were lacking.
True.
The Spirit Temple boss, I was just like on autopilot. I don't want to like, but as much as like the other bosses are like, yeah, they're not the best. I at least had to think.
I mean, like Queen Gib though, genuinely great fight. I actually love that boss.
Queen Gibdo. Which one's that one?
The
Lightning Temple
bug.
Oh, from the Fire Temple, or was it the Water Temple?
No, the Lightning.
Oh, Lightning. Oh yeah, that one was good. That was good.
Water Temple.
I just don't like the fact that like I know people say this, but I'm like on the side with them on this one. I don't like it when boss fights have like minions you need to battle.
I just remember, like for me, like. So I did the Wind Temple first. I fought that boss, and
Colgera.
I like 1 or 2 cycled it. Now, granted, I had some of the long range bows on me at the time, which I did, do some rematches of it in the underground. Without the long range bows, it's a little tougher.
Here's the thing:
that kind of underground. They make them better when they're in the underground.
What?
They make them stronger in the underground in the depths.
That could be it. Yeah, that kind of set the tempo of boss design for me.
The one thing I don't like about Colgera
bosses.
Colgera was a cool spectacle, but
I could dive through the cracks and beat the boss. That's how much I hate that boss. I shouldn't dive to its weak points to kill it. I should shoot it.
Oh, you could dive on those? That's actually kind of
cool. You could dive on them and it hurts him. It hurts him.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah, I figured out on accident. I'm like, wow, that is terrible.
No, that's awesome.
I actually think I would prefer that to shooting them.
Yeah, because like
it's cool in the depths and like it's cool in the depths where like Colgera and that one has like one side is like crackable and one side is like spiky, if that makes sense. But like when like both sides are both icy with cracks, it's not fun. It's boring.
I just don't know how I feel about like the arrow bullet time.
Yeah.
It's a system that, like, there's a part I appreciate, but there's also a part where I think it kind of trivializes the entire game combat-wise. And that's a problem with BOTW too. I'm not just gonna single out time.
It's a thing they carried over from Breath of the Wild, yeah.
Yeah.
To go back to the bosses a little bit more. I think a lot of them were just too short. That's why I like Queen Gibdo a lot, because that was the only one that didn't take me 2 minutes to kill.
The Water Temple one only took me like 10 minutes to be, being honest.
That
was the first.
The Water Temple literally a 1 minute fight. Literally a 1 minute fight.
Well, it's probably because I did that one first in retrospect, where like I had like 5 hearts. So it's like I didn't have much in terms of like I have a bunch of like I knew I had to what I shouldn't say it like that.
I
was supposed to like get rid of the mud on him, like the gunk on him. But like I didn't like I had a bunch of agua fruit, but I didn't know like I could use the champion ability to like make a wave on it or like wave on it, if that makes sense. So it's probably like
use the champion ability to solve all the puzzles in the shrine or in the dungeon.
What's the point of them?
I didn't like the fire one, honestly.
I like the marble Goma just because I went "Ooh, Goma" and pointed at the screen.
I really enjoyed the roller coaster marble Goma. That was funny. Like the climb to the dungeon where you have to like shoot it.
Can we talk about Hyrule Castle? Because oh my god, I technically count it as a dungeon.
I have 0 thoughts on that.
It's fucking head to this area and fight a wave of enemies. That's interesting. Thank you.
By the way, I got like 30 minutes.
Oh fuck, we gotta hurry this up.
No, you're good. I just want to give
but the only interesting part of fucking Hyrule Castle was the fucking history, like learning that Zelda wasn't fucking Zelda. That was it.
Because like again, it's like we already had the really cool Hyrule Castle.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
But no, it's the same one though. That's the thing.
We
can also go into the story now because like that's the last thing we have on our list.
I was gonna say to tie into the Zelda thing. It's like, oh no, we discovered Zelda is evil, and I was very surprised. Believe me, I did not expect that. Ever.
The Zelda stories Zelda stories are just kind of. I've always said this about Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild. They do not have interesting stories at all. The only interesting part of them is like learning like the past, and that's like in both games. And like
Breath of the Wild has a better story.
I will agree on that. I think Tears of the Kingdom is like memory bullshit.
I think Tears of the Kingdom has the potential to have a better story, but because they tell it the same way they told Breath of the Wild story.
Okay. Yes, this is actually like. You go first.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, so
you're ready.
Like, because yes, this is actually something I came in wanting to talk about. Because this is kind of like sort of my thesis on Tears of the Kingdom as a whole. Is that like there are times where it did things that Breath of the Wild did, and I feel like it did them because Breath of the Wild did them, when they were not to the benefit of Tears of the Kingdom. The whole backstory in this game, I actually think, is a slightly more interesting plotline than what was going on in Breath of the Wild, because it more actively ties into the current narrative. Right, you have Zelda as an active character trying to figure something out, and you get the big climax where it's revealed. Spoiler alert for everyone listening to this podcast that hasn't played Tears of the Kingdom: Zelda's the Light Dragon. That sure could be a really cool moment. There is nothing about that story that benefits from it being told out of chronology.
I'm gonna be honest. Learning that Zelda was the Light Dragon, I was like, hold up, what the fuck? I was like, because I didn't get all the tears when I got to the final boss, so I didn't get the true ending first go around. And then when I got the tears, I learned it. I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. But like in retrospect, it's like if you like got all the tears and then figured it out, it's like, no.
I like how they. I like the reveal of like the Zelda is the Light Dragon. I thought that was
I also feel like you would like get the idea. I also feel like you would get the idea just from like getting the Master Sword out of the Light Dragon's head.
Well, you get the resolution of that story, but it is one of those things where you may not necessarily realize it's her without the rest of the build-up. What I wish they did is I wished every time you got a tear, it just gave you the next cutscene.
Yes.
Instead of specific ones. means. Because
that's something that Breath of the Wild also did, and I fucking hate it.
No, so I'm going to defend Breath of the Wild's usage of it. Because in Breath of the Wild, right, these are memories that Link is getting by going back to places that were relevant to his past. And while there is an overarching story, a lot of these they have standalone value. You can piece things together and kind of see, and because it's more important that he's getting the memory of the moment.
Yeah. So, Breath of the Wild. I don't know. This might be something I'm just repeating that Scott the Wallace has said, but it was something I felt before watching that video. Breath of the Wild was with the memories. It was more about the characters and like those specific moments. Tears of the Kingdom is trying to tell a story.
Yes.
And I think that there is no reason for the story to be told in that way. And I think they could have even maybe mishmashed a couple of cutscenes together or something and tied them into the dungeons somehow. So that way, every time you go to the dungeon, you don't watch the same cutscene every single time. Maybe, please.
Yeah, if there is even just some variation, because as it stands, you learn the same information from every dungeon because they go off the.
I was a sage, and then
this could be your first dungeon, and the problems there is that you're not getting new pieces to put together with things. You're not advancing, and there is that frustration of the player is extremely likely to figure out that Zelda is a fake before the game reveals it.
It's you can figure it out easily because you go to the fucking
there's literally
the Goron one. I'm thinking of the Goron one now.
Yeah, so those
it's like oh Zelda gave me this mask. It basically turned me into the biggest asshole on the planet. I'm like it sounds like her.
But I will say on that front, right? Because combined with the newspaper quest line, there is kind of this vibe of like maybe Zelda's possessed or something. We don't explicitly know what the deal is with that Zelda. There is a specific tier cutscene where we see Ganondorf use a fake Zelda as a trick. The moment you get that information, it's basically solved.
Yeah.
I don't like Ganondorf in this game, if I'm being honest.
Design is very cool.
No, he's not sexy. I'm not gonna be on with the
he's hot.
Cool
design. He even as someone who can respect a body, no, there are better bodies out there.
I don't like how they handle him in the story. He feels
like
under.
Look, I've always thought this. Even well, I'm not even nostalgic for Ganondorf and Wind Waker, but Wind Waker Ganondorf at least had a motive, and you could see where he was coming from.
Even
Ocarina
Ganondorf is fantastic.
Yeah, but like I don't feel that with Tears of the Kingdom. I'm just like he's an evil bad guy for the sake of being an evil bad guy.
We don't see him ever. We don't meet him. We don't interact with him in any way. Like Ocarina of Time, you go to Hyrule Castle, you talk to Zelda, and you see this like strange looking dude that's obviously up to no good, and you're like, oh no.
And even before that, he's responsible for the Deku Tree dying. We already have that info too.
It's like there's the meeting with him multiple times. And
there's the big mid-game moment.
Yeah.
And that's one of Tears of the Kingdom's mid-game moment is the Master Sword. That is what you could say it is, but Ganondorf is not involved in that at all.
It does nothing for Ganondorf. Ganondorf, you get through like 3 cutscenes with him, and it's just, guys, did you know Ganondorf's evil? Like
the only thing, excluding the fucking path. Well, I think the path is fucking irrelevant to the Kingdom with Ganondorf. I feel, but like the only thing he does is like in the opening, you find his body. He breaks the Master Sword up. It's fixed. When Zelda goes into the past, spoilers. He stole your heart. You could get all those. It's. Whatever. He destroyed your arm. I guess that's something.
You interact with him in the very beginning and the very end, and nowhere in between. And
I will say the ending was probably my favorite part of the game.
That final boss fight is sick,
bro. That was like the first time. Like I thought Tears of the Kingdom before the final boss fight, piss fucking easy. But when I got to that boss fight, it was kicking my ass.
It was still piss easy.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I guess I'm just terrible at Zelda games.
I think I was very kind of over Tears of the Kingdom at the point I got to the final boss. So I was like, "Whoa, this is cool." But
I did find the dragon I did find the dragon fight a bit too much like Deja Vu with Phantom Beast Ganon.
That's the part I like.
Yeah, it felt
like it's cool spectacle, but like it's just like going through emotions.
Well, you guys go first. I want to hear your criticism.
It felt cool, but a lot of it kind of it felt like it was a lot of style and not as much kind of substance. Because I just didn't like the fight itself.
Yeah.
It was more so about the spectacle of it. I did like that it was a longer boss fight. That it wasn't.
I didn't like. That's the one thing I didn't like. I didn't like how large the health bar was at like the second half of the fight.
No, I loved it.
I thought it was a little too big.
I loved when the health bar went off the screen.
It's so funny.
It was like a big fuck you, because like another thing I don't like about the one thing I don't like is like you don't know the fact that like he can get rid of your hearts, like not just like the gloom, just get rid of your hearts.
I think it's kind of hype.
I don't think that was like well tutorialized at all.
No, but I think that's part of the experience.
Like Gandalf can like beat your shit.
To be fair too, like because I know you didn't do a lot of side content. Me and Kibbs were both trained on many Phantom Ganon encounters. I have to assume.
I did like the one in the Deku Tree to get the Master Sword and the one in the Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, no. When I got to Ganondorf, I knew how to fight Ganondorf.
Oh yeah, no, I'd fought him like 50 million times.
There's one thing I will say is that the not final phase Calamity Ganon was a better fight than Ganondorf. But actually getting to fight Ganondorf was cooler. I do like, and I did like his design. And for me, because I'm comparing the Spectacle final boss of Tears of the Kingdom to the Spectacle final boss of Breath of the Wild.
I don't like either, but I
think this one blows Breath of the Wild's out of the.
I don't like this. I don't like them both, but I do think that spectacle-wise, yeah, it does blow Breath of the Wild out of the water.
I think there is like something kind of emotional of getting to have that final battle with Zelda at your side, even if she's like a big funny dragon now.
Dragon basically lost her mentality.
It never occurred to me at any point that Ganondorf would eat the rock and become a dragon. So that was a fun surprise that took me off guard. I'm like, oh, we have a light dragon. Well, here's our dark dragon.
I didn't expect it all because I didn't see the cutscene where in the tier where she eats the rock, where Zelda eats the rock and becomes the light dragon. I didn't see that the first time I fought it. I just saw that. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But like, I'm gonna say a joke right now, but like the worst thing about the ending is that Zelda's technically like 1,000 years old and like was probably going to be dating her after the events of Tears of the Kingdom. If you think about it,
he was in stasis. It's fine.
She wasn't in stasis. She was in the world like when Hyrule was literally like the fucking newest baby on the planet.
And she comes back to the same age that she left because when she was a dragon, they hit the pause button.
No, she's not gonna. No, she did that because she's not as merchandisable. Actually, I think the dragon would be more merchandisable. I also thought the secret ending, like the one you get after you get all the tears and like you learn what happened to Zelda, big letdown. Big letdown. I thought the secret ending in Breath of the Wild was better because it was a more uplifting ending than just like, do you remember me? Whereas if like the Tears of the Kingdom was like, oh, we saw your spirit go away and we'll protect Hyrule. Let's go.
Oh, the true ending for Tears of the Kingdom?
Yes.
I thought it was okay.
I thought the true ending of Breath of the Wild was better.
I don't know.
Where Zelda's like Zelda's like are like on the mountainside, like with all the silent princesses, reflecting on what happened, like saying like we can build a bright future together. Like I like that ending more because like it's more uplifting and it can leave all the vague of like what could happen next, which could be a sequel hook. Whereas with this one, just felt like a finality to it.
I do not want another.
I don't want another Breath of the Wild.
That was the fun. I think that would be the best talking point right now. The future. I think that.
Well, actually, hold on. You know what? I have one more criticism for this game. I need to get out. It's my biggest criticism of them all. Before we have the wrap up, All right, forget everything else. You know why this game sucks? You know what
Why?
this game did to me?
What?
This game introduced Link with that sexy, sexy long hair, and every single helmet in the game that doesn't count as that is invisible brings the ponytail back. And if I wanted to see Link with a ponytail, I'd be playing Breath of the Wild. I took the helmet off for the I just didn't wear a helmet during the final boss fight because I love Link's new mane. I think this is a great design.
I like Link's I like the clothes you get at the opening section of the game. I think that looks great.
Went in there. I went to the final boss fight rocking no helmet, the champion's leathers, and the fierce deity plants, so I could get an attack boost.
Nice.
And my Link was style. Why couldn't the earrings not have a ponytail? We already had an item in the game to give you the ponytail if you wanted to look at it. If you go to Link's house, you can get the ponytail. Why could they not just let me get his beautiful hair with a helmet?
I feel like you'd be the type of person who go in the game and sniff it.
Listen, I have wanted to rant about this for a long time. I love the Link and Zelda redesigns in this game. I think they look so good. And I just wanted my long-haired boy.
So I think we should talk about the future of Zelda, because this is the one thing everyone's been talking about after they beat Tears of the Kingdom. Do we want another open world Zelda game, or do we want them to go back to the linear Zelda games?
I don't care as long as it's not Breath of the Wild again. Flat out. It's that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is still plenty of stuff they can do with open world Zelda. I think by making this a sequel to Breath of the Wild, I think they were a little constrained in what they can do.
Yeah,
because they had to fit it into that that landscape.
I think it needs a huge shakeup, and I think on some level I would probably prefer a more traditional Zelda game, but that's not really the type of game that they want to make anymore, and I do respect that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could say I respect them wanting to go to a more open world direction. But I feel because I think one of my main problems with Breath of the Wild is it barely felt like it had that Zelda some stuff that's Zelda's known for, if that makes sense. I don't even think boomerangs are in Tears of the Kingdom. I know they were in Breath of the Wild. There are. Oh. But there's some Zelda stuff that's not in Breath of the Wild, and dungeons weren't really dungeony. But
I think the essence of Zelda is still very much there in these two.
It's just not as prominent. That's the thing.
It may not be some of the iconography or the.
I feel if you want to do an open world Zelda game, you would have to follow the second half of Link Between Worlds structure, if that makes sense.
I don't know if I agree with that as the only way.
Well, not the only way, but the one that comes to mind. Because I think, because I love Link Between Worlds. But yeah, that's the only one I could think of at the moment. I think there's. Can't you do that in Ocarina? No, I don't think. Wait, can you do an Ocarina?
Not to the same extent. There is some non-linearity in the second half, but the way the game is designed, you're likely just going to do the temples in the order.
I know Wind Waker. I know Wind Waker a lot.
Link to the Past affords a decent bit of non-linearity.
I know Wind Waker gives you the option to choose Earth Temple or Wind Temple first, either or, but that's it. Yeah, so the only ones I can think of, because all the other ones are really linear. But
is there anything you want to say on it, Kibbs? I feel like the two of us have been talking a bit.
No, not.
Yeah,
not really. I think I kind of put out everything I wanted to say.
You should make a video.
I could.
That would require you to play it again.
Yeah, honestly, that's the biggest thing. I was like, I could write up a script and make a video on it. And then I was like, did I have to play the game again? And I was like, I'll think on it. And then Scott the Wild released his video, and I was like, well, he said everything I was gonna say, so I'm good.
I'm good for now.
My thoughts are out there, just through someone else's mouth.
If you have a game you think will make an interesting video, just record the first playthrough. That's
Yeah,
that's
I,
a good way
honestly,
to do it.
playing through Tears of the Kingdom, I didn't wanna worry about like I want to make content out of this. I was like, I can play this new Zelda game. I took a week off and I'm gonna have a great time. And then I was like, wow, this game was very all right.
I wish I would like that with Pokemon Scarlet, but we could
So
get that.
here's the interesting thing, right? Despite, like, because I would say this podcast overall has leaned more negative than it has positive.
Yeah.
We all liked the game.
Oh
we
yeah.
I think, like, I wouldn't say I hated the game. I just think it's like one of the more, like, when I first finished this, I was like gushing about it to you guys like a lot. Like I said, it was like better than Breath of the Wild, like one of like the best Zelda games. But like on like retrospect, looking back and like playing a little bit more of it, I was like, it went down in my estimation. Like I'd still give it like an 8 out of 10. Like it's not bad, but like I think it's like some people are like, oh, this is better than Breath of the Wild. I'm on the pan where like Breath of the Wild, yeah, it's flawed. It's still a great time, but Tears of the Kingdom does some things better than Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild does some things better than Tears of the Kingdom.
Though I still think Tears of the Kingdom is like a really good game. I mean, I'd probably rank it like a 7 out of 10 if I were to give it an arbitrary number. I think a lot of where my negativity came from was it was just disappointing. It was on the whole a disappointing experience. I had a blast the first like 10, 20 hours or so, I want to say, and then it started to kind of wear out, and I was like, oh.
I will give Tears of the Kingdom this. It does. So one of my favorite things about this year of gaming, for me personally, because I don't know if y'all been through this, when a game clicks, I barely want to let it go. Like Final Fantasy 16, Sea of Stars,
Trails in the Sky second chapter.
That's 2008.
Sky the third.
Yeah,
Trails from Zero.
Like 16, like 16, Sea of Stars, Engage, Hi-Fi Rush, Tears of the Kingdom. I would stay up all fucking day from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. Yes, I have no life. And just plow through the game. Few games are able to make me do that. And Tears of the Kingdom was one of the few. Like, I felt like I was playing a new. It reignited the first time I played Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And that was something I was missing. Like, I played Link's Awakening HD for the first time. Like, that was my first time playing Link's Awakening and finishing it. I did not have that feeling with Link's Awakening HD.
So much.
I felt that with Tears of the Kingdom.
It's really interesting that you bring that up because for me it was sort of the opposite. I mean, part of why this podcast took so long to come out was because it took me so long to finish it, and part of it was after like the first 2 dungeons, just sort of realized that, oh, I'm feeling some disappointment with this game. Kind of burnt me out for a little bit.
I playing through it. I never really got burnt out of it. I just had like a perpetual lingering disappointment.
It also didn't help that We Love Katamari came out during that period.
Real game of the year.
And that's just a factually better.
Look, my goal was to finish it before Final Fantasy 16.
That was my goal too. Well, actually, my goal was to finish Tears of the Kingdom so I could get back to Trail's second chapter, so then I could get to Final Fantasy 16.
Honestly, fair enough. As long as you got to 16.
I'm just saying, We Love Katamari now sits on my top 25 game list, and Tears of the Kingdom sure does.
I think we should say this for the end of the year stuff.
True.
But,
I just love Katamari.
Yeah, I can see. I played a bit of Damacy. I played a bit of Damacy. It was really good. But I think that'll about do it for today. I think we said about everything, about a 2-hour range. Yeah. It was fun talking to you guys about this game because
is this the part where we say our favorite Zelda games?
Ooh.
Wind Waker, easy.
All of them except this one.
What's this one?
Well, my favorite pick is the most interesting in the world. It's Ocarina. Very, very.
Wow. That's the most. Well, 90s baby.
I'm gonna.
I didn't play Ocarina until 2012.
Early 3DS owner, baby.
I played it on the Wii.
Ooh. My favorite
Wii, baby.
Majora's Mask and
That's
or
my
Breath of the Wild, and or Link's Awakening, and or Link Between Worlds.
Majora is my second favorite, and
I
now
will-
that
I will
I don't
always-
think Breath of the Wild is number 3 anymore, I think Link Between Worlds might be there.
I will always be a Skyward Sword defender.
Hey, I love
I-
Skyward Sword.
I don't.
But I think we should end it for now. It was fun talking to you guys.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.